Hello, in this video I'm going to introduce you to cumulative frequency graphs. So we'll start off by sketching one and then we'll be using it to find the quartiles of our data set. So I'll timestamp the different parts of the video below, and if this video is useful, please do like and subscribe. So to get an idea of how cumulative frequency graphs work, we're going to take a look at this example. So here we have a table of data and it shows how long it took different people to get to work. So you can see there are 30 people who took between 5 and 10 minutes to get to work, and so on for the other two rows. Okay. Now on the right here you can see our cumulative frequency graph, or what we're going to sketch our cumulative frequency graph on. Now you'll notice on the horizontal axis we have our time, okay, and on the vertical axis we have cumulative frequency. So what is cumulative frequency? Well, you can think of it as like a running total of your frequencies. So for example, in this one we'll have 30, then add on the 20, 50, then add on 25, 75, okay, and that works. But what it really means is how many data values are there below the upper bound of the class. So for example, with the first row, okay, the upper bound is 10. So how many pieces of data are there below 10 minutes? Well, there are 30 of them. Then let's look at the next row. How many pieces of data are there below 15 minutes? Well, there's these 20 here, plus the 30 from the previous row. So 50, and so on, okay? So that's what we mean when we talk about cumulative frequency. So once you've calculated your cumulative frequencies, what you're going to do is plot them onto your graph. And the way you're going to do this is by plotting the upper bound of your class against the cumulative frequency. So for the first row, I take my upper bound to be 10, so I go to 10 minutes, and there are 30 people who took 10 minutes or less, so I go up to 30 on my cumulative frequency and I draw a cross, like so. Let's go to the second row. So now I'm looking when the time is 15 minutes. How many people took 15 minutes or less? Well, 50, so then I go up until I get to 50 and draw a cross like so. And finally I go to 20 and then up to 75. There we go. But there's still a point that I haven't plotted on here. And so if we take a look back at the first group, the first class, okay, this one here, notice that we have our time is greater than 5. So that means there are no people who took less than 5 minutes to get to work. And so I could come back to my graph and I could plot on the point 5 minutes with 0 frequency, because no one took less than 5 minutes. So let me add that on like so. Now once we've done this, we're going to connect all of our points with a nice smooth curve, like so. I'll do my best to draw one, but I'm pretty bad at that. That'll do, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that is my cumulative frequency graph. Now we can use this to find estimates for the median as well as our quartiles of our data. So let's start off with the median. That is the middle value in our list of data. So the median, I'll write it down here, median, which we can also call Q2, okay, which will link into quartiles, which I'll talk about in a second. Well, to find the middle value, we know there are 75 data values in total. So if I half this, this tells me the one in the middle is the 37.5th data value. And so I'm going to use my cumulative frequency graph to estimate this. So I'm going to go up to the 37.5th data value on cumulative frequency, like so. I'm going to try and make it sort of a bit more accurate than that. And then I'm going to go straight down from where it hits my curve until I get to my time axis like this. And you can see as an estimate it's about 13 minutes. So the median is about 13 minutes. Okay. Now quartiles are a type of percentile. So let's start off by looking at the lower quartile, okay, which we can also call Q1. Now what this lower quartile is, it's 25% of the way through the data, or a quarter of the way through the data. Okay. Now by percentile, what I mean is it's the 25th percentile, and that means 25% of my data falls below that lower quartile. So how do we find it? Well, we need to go a quarter of the way through the data, so 75 divided by 4. That tells me it's 18.75, so it's the 18.75th data value. So let's go to 18.75, let's go across until we hit our line and then go down. And you can see as an estimate, our lower quartile is 8, so 8 minutes. Okay. Now what this means is, if I go back to this graph, I'll sketch on it, 25% of my data lies between here and here, so on this part of the graph. Okay. Let's now look at the upper quartile. Okay, so the upper quartile, which we can call Q3, Now this is also called the 75th percentile, and that means 75% of my data falls below the upper quartile. So to find that, what we're going to do is take our 75, our total frequency, divide it by 4, and then multiply it by 3. Or you could just multiply it by 3/4. And that gives me 56.25. So the 56.25th data value, which I'll mark on, is probably, I don't know, just about here somewhere. It's not going to be perfect, about there, let's say. That will be my upper quartile. And so what this means is that 75% of my data will be below this point, or on the graph it will be all of this data points here. Okay, and so my upper quartile is probably about 17 minutes, like so. So there we go, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully it was useful. If it was, please do like and subscribe, and go over to my channel where I have tons of other maths tutorials. Thanks for watching.